everyone, and welcome to our first Fair Housing Awareness event here at Cleveland City Hall, hosted by the Department of Community Development, Office of Fair Housing and Consumer Affairs. I'm honored, I am proud. I'm excited to be here today as I take on this new role as the Fair Housing Manager for the City of Cleveland. Let us work together to make sure everyone has a fair chance at finding a place they love and a place that they call home. Thank you for joining us today as we take this important step for our community. I am thrilled to introduce today's MC for this special event, Lana Ballier. Lana is a graduate from Cleveland State University and currently serves as a business process specialist for the Department of Community Development. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, Lana knows firsthand the struggle of discrimination. Today, she's joining us here to celebrate Fair Housing Awareness Month in our city. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Hi, welcome. So we're gonna kick off this event. First things first, I'm going to welcome Sergeant Peter Williams to sing us the national anthem. Thank you.
Please rise for the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we launched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Sergeant Peter Williams. Amazing as always. Okay, so I am going to go over the proclamation and the resolution that was given to us by Justin Mayor Bibbs and from President Councilmember Blaine Griffin. So Justin Bibb, the 58th Mayor of the City of Cleveland, on behalf of the citizens of the City of Cleveland, I am honored to offer this proclamation declaring April as Fair Housing Month in Cleveland. Woohoo, right? Yes. Fair Housing Month, observed nationwide in April, marks the anniversary of Fair Housing Act's passage of April 11, 1968. It presents a significant opportunity for us to educate our residents about their rights under fair housing laws and to underscore our city's commitment to fostering inclusive and equitable communities. The landmark civil rights law signed by President Lyndon Johnson made discrimination in housing transactions unlawful. The law, the Fair Housing Act, prohibits discrimination in housing because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, disability, and familial status. Dulce Sanchez, as the Fair Housing Manager for the City of Cleveland, brings dedication, expertise, and leadership to advancing our fair housing initiatives and advocating for the rights of all citizens to live free from discrimination. Thank you, Justin Mayor Bibbs. Then I'm going to go over the resolution that was given to us by our Council President, Lane Griffin. Just a couple excerpts. Cleveland takes pride in its vibrant cultural diversity and inclusive community. Acknowledging Fair Housing Month resonates with our city's core values of inclusivity and respect for all individuals. It sends a resounding message that discrimination is unwelcome in our midst and underscores our determination to construct a city where everyone can flourish. Observing Fair Housing Month in our city is a testament to our dedication to upholding fairness and justice in housing practices. By commemorating this occasion, we reassert our commitment to combating housing discrimination and ensuring that every resident has equitable access to secure, affordable, and respectable housing.
Thank you.
Thank you, our councilmen, our council people. We greatly appreciate your support. I am going to introduce a very special woman. She is the Director of Community Development, and one of the reasons why we were able to take this step forward. Please help me in welcoming Director Alyssa Hernandez.
Good afternoon. Oh, no, we're gonna have to do that again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. As we gather here today, I'm honored to address you to celebrate Fair Housing Month. I stand before you not just as the Director of Community Development, but as a passionate advocate for the principles of equality and justice in housing. In Cleveland, like many cities across the nation, we recognize that fair housing is not just a legal obligation, it's a moral imperative. It's about ensuring that every individual and family, regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, or familial status, has the opportunity to live in a safe, affordable, and discrimination-free environment. Fair housing is the cornerstone of vibrant communities. It fosters diversity, promotes economic growth, and strengthens social cohesion. When everyone has access to housing that meets their needs and preferences, our neighborhoods thrive. Yet the journey towards fair housing is ongoing. Despite the progress we've made, barriers and challenges persist. Discrimination, segregation, and unequal access to housing still afflict many of our neighbors. As leaders and advocates, we must confront these injustices head on and work tirelessly to dismantle them. To this end, through the leadership of Dulce Sanchez, our Fair Housing Coordinator, the Department of Community Development with our partners have hosted events and programs to raise awareness and promote inclusivity in housing. These workshops and outreach programs have allowed us to engage with our community to empower families with both knowledge of their rights as well as pathways to opportunity. This Fair Housing Month, let us recommit ourselves to the cause of justice and equality. Let us redouble our efforts to eliminate housing discrimination in all its forms and ensure that every person, regardless of who they are or where they come from, can live with dignity and respect. Together, we can build a future where fair housing is not just a dream, but a reality for us all. Let us stand united in our pursuit of a more just and equitable society. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. So I am going to welcome some speakers to come up today. They do more than just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They are leaders in the fair housing community, and we are thankful for their time today. Our first speaker is going to be Tanisha Hunter. She is the Director of Education and Outreach at the Fair Housing Center for Rights and Research. She is a Cleveland State alum, and we love when our alum give back to the community, don't we? Yes, we do. She has a passion for fair housing, and she is obviously a compassionate person. We know because she has dedicated years of service when she worked with us in the Department of Aging, and we thank you for that. So, help me in welcoming her up, Tanisha Hunter.
All right, good afternoon. So first, I want to give a huge thank you to Dulce and the City of Cleveland overall for having me this afternoon to speak at this event and for hosting this event as well, in recognition of April as Fair Housing Month. Again, my name is Tanisha Hunter, and I am the Director of Education and Outreach at the Fair Housing Center for Rights and Research. We are a nonprofit fair housing agency whose mission is to protect and expand fair housing rights, eliminate housing discrimination, and promote integrated communities. We have been around now since 1983. We're located right here in Cleveland, actually right across from the County Board of Elections building. It is our fundamental belief that housing is a human right and that we all deserve safe, decent, and affordable housing. We drive our mission through some core services. That includes advocacy. So when people feel that they have been discriminated against in housing-related transactions, they can give our office a call for free to get some assistance. That might look like our advocates going out and contacting a housing provider on their behalf, or even assisting someone in filing an administrative complaint. We are also enforcers of the fair housing law. We regularly monitor different lending, sales, insurance, and rental markets for discriminatory practices. We also do something called testing. It's like a secret shoppers of housing-related transactions, if you will, where we send folks out to ensure that housing providers and entities are not engaging with people in discriminatory manners. We also have a wonderful research and policy team that examines the barriers to fair housing in our region and makes recommendations on equitable policies to advance fair housing. Later on this month, we will be releasing our State of Fair Housing annual report that examines the barriers to fair housing in our region. So be sure you take a look at that when it comes out later on this month. We also provide, of course, education and outreach so that we are making sure that community members and government officials and housing providers know their rights when it comes to fair housing law, but also their obligation when it comes to fair housing law. And then lastly, the Fair Housing Center recently has acquired a program called the Community Choice Demonstration, which is a mobility program for Housing Choice Voucher recipients. So Housing Choice Voucher recipients with families are able to connect to housing providers in what's considered to be opportunity areas. Opportunity areas are areas that typically Housing Choice Voucher recipients, formerly known as the Section 8 program, have had a hard time connecting to and living in. So as Director Hernandez has stated, as well as Duce, it has been 56 years now since President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Fair Housing Act just 7 days after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. The Fair Housing Act makes it illegal to discriminate in housing-related transactions, such as buying your home, selling your home, appraisals, obtaining homeowners insurance, renting a home, zoning, based on our special characteristics that we share called protected classes. So for example, someone cannot deny or treat you differently because of your race, color of your skin, your national origin, religion, sex, which also includes sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as familial status and disability. Here in Ohio, we have some additional protected classes, which includes ancestry and military status. And then even here in the city of Cleveland has a fair housing ordinance which provides even further protections than state and federal protections, which include age, marital status, ethnic group, Vietnam disabled vet status. And while we have made significant strides when it comes to fighting for equitable housing, it is important to reflect on our past. Our government has had a prominent role in perpetuating racial segregation. Black Americans in Cleveland have encountered prejudice and discrimination through different means such as racially restrictive covenants, problems with securing mortgages, white hostility, and even violence. For instance, in the neighborhood that I grew up, the Lee and Harvard area in Ward 1, in 1953, Wendell and Geneva Stewart were the first Black couple to move into the Lee and Harvard area, and they were met with much hostility and even threats. But it was their moving into that area that paved the way for my grandparents to buy a home just 3 short years later in 1956. And I can recall stories of my uncle, who was about 7 or 8 at the time, who witnessed the adjacent areas with white neighbors flocking in droves when Black members started to come into the community, also known as white flight. Redlining is another policy that was put in place by the government that has left a long-lasting effect on the city of Cleveland. Redlining was the process of color-coding neighborhoods and grading mortgage securities based on race and ethnicity. This fueled racial segregation in the city of Cleveland. And unfortunately, I have to share that not much has changed since redlining has happened over 7 years ago. Cleveland does remain one of the highest segregated cities in all of the country. Now, I don't share these things with you all to bring feelings of hopelessness or despair, right? Information is power, right? We can use this information and let it fuel us to continue to fight for equitable housing today and every day moving forward. And trust me, there's a fight that still has to be had. So everybody put on your boxing gloves, okay? Because there's work that needs to be done. According to the National Fair Housing Alliance 2022 Trends Report, in 2022, there were more housing complaints filed than ever before, over 30,000 complaints across the country. And our office alone has received over 700 fair housing complaints in the city of Cleveland over the past 5 years. Some of those complaints have the highest volume for the basis for disability-related complaints, followed by race. So as you can see, there is a lot of work still to be done. But again, I do not bring this information to you for you to feel hopeless or to feel an air of despair, right? It's time to fight. It's time to move on. It's time to take action. So now that we know a bit of the problems, what do we do to address it, right? If you're not sure where to get started, no problem, I got you. One of the first ways that you can assist in fighting housing discrimination is learning your own fair housing rights. Take a look at our tables back there, learn about fair housing law. Take a look at our reading list, which our partner, Third Space Action Reading Room, has copies of different fair housing books from our reading list. And you might say, Tanisha, I already know my rights. What can I do? Advocate for the expansion of fair housing law, for cities to include additional protected classes like source of income discrimination. And also engage with your family members. If you know your fair housing rights, make sure that your neighbors and your friends do as well. Let's do all we can to continue this fight for equitable housing. I want to thank you all for having me this afternoon. Come see me at the resource table, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful, that was inspiring, that was motivating. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Tanisha Hunter. Our next speaker is Hazel Bremich, sorry. She is the Director, State and Local Policy, Ohio at the Enterprise Community. She is an advocate for tenant rights. And during her employment at the Legal AIDS Society of Cleveland, she won a grant to create the Legal AIDS Housing Justice Alliance. Once again, she is not just talking the talk, she is walking the walk. Their focus is to provide legal representation for tenants facing evictions in Northeast Ohio. Help me in welcoming Hazel.
Hi everyone, good afternoon, and I'm thrilled to be here to partner with the City of Cleveland during this Fair Housing Month. Congratulations to the Department of Development and to Dulce and Director Hernandez in this wonderful event. As mentioned, I'm Hazel Bremich. I'm the Director of State and Local Policy for Enterprise Community Partners. For those of you who are not familiar with Enterprise, we are an affordable housing and community development organization. We cover 11 markets across the country. And as we celebrate Fair Housing Month, our team at Enterprise has really been thinking deeply about our mission, which is to make home and community places of pride, power, and belonging. Everything we do really boils down to fair housing. If you're talking about expanding access to home ownership, if you're talking about protecting children from lead poisoning or to fighting housing discrimination, it all really boils down to fair housing. And we believe deeply that every child, family, and community deserves a safe, healthy, and an opportunity to have affordable housing as part of their infrastructure. But we know, as you've heard today, that there's still a lot of work that needs to happen. So while we're excited to celebrate today with you all, we are incredibly excited that there's a deep focus on fair housing as an entire month and some of the declarations that you heard today. We know that the promise of the Fair Housing Act is simple, that no American should face discrimination when they're looking for a home. That where we live is a fundamental determinant of what the opportunities that we're going to have, of what our outcomes are going to be. And that is what Congress contemplated, what they recognized when the Fair Housing Act was implemented. But as you heard today, decades later, people are still subject to various forms of discrimination. And today I just want to focus on one form, and that's source of income discrimination, which was already mentioned. And so you might ask yourself, what is source of income discrimination? And this occurs when landlords refuse to rent to households that have non-traditional methods of income. So you want to think about your neighbor who might be a veteran and their only source of income is VA benefits, for example. Or someone whose only source of income is disability benefits, or who might be able to only pay their rent because they have a voucher, for example. And in fact, more than 2 million people in the US right now are using vouchers today. And just as a point of reference, in Cuyahoga County alone, children under the age of 18 account for approximately 1/3 of people who are using the voucher program. Which means that if we prohibited discrimination against families who are using the vouchers, we could improve access to healthy housing for Cuyahoga County's youngest residents. For landlords, accepting housing vouchers is a good business deal. The program guarantees monthly rental payments from the government, offering landlords protection against job losses or unexpected expenses that could make rent payments a challenge for the average tenant. But the reality is that source of income discrimination is really just a proxy for racial discrimination. You heard Tanisha talk about redlining and all of the things that we know are just part of the infrastructure that has created discrimination as a whole. And so, unsurprisingly, we also know that when there are income discrimination bans in place, they're really effective as long as they're enforced. And so, today, source of income discrimination laws across the country are a patchwork. Some states ban discrimination outright, while others only have some protections in select localities. So just 19 states ban it entirely. 17 states have no source of income protections at all. So what does that look like in Ohio? There are 19 cities that have passed some form of source of income protection laws in Ohio. And some of our neighboring cities, such as Akron, Cleveland Heights, South Euclid, University Heights, and Warrensville Heights, have passed source of income protection laws. And you heard today how Cleveland actually has expanded protections in comparison to some of our neighboring jurisdictions, but many people still remain unprotected. So we know that the housing voucher program is only as effective as the income discrimination laws in each locality. But really, we can't achieve fair housing or racial equity in the country without source of income protections. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you today. And congratulations again to the City of Cleveland for hosting this wonderful event and shedding light on the needs of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hazel Remich. I wanted a chance to redeem myself. Honestly, thank you. We are greatly appreciative of your guys' advocacy. We are thankful for the awareness that you guys bring to the community. It speaks volumes. It really does. It speaks volumes to us as City of Cleveland employees. It speaks volumes to our constituents who are greatly appreciative of the efforts that we make. And this month is a culmination of all that information, of all that pride we take in making these steps forward and trying our hardest to make sure that people are receiving fair housing. So our next speaker is going to be the Assistant Director, Anthony Scott. Help me in welcoming up.
So being asked to follow Tanisha and Hazel is a haze in and of itself. You set me up, you unpleasant people. Now, my name is Tony Scott. I am one of 2 assistant directors for the City of Cleveland's Department of Community Development. Other assistant directors, Mikhail Wackers, and you've already heard from our director, Alyssa Hernandez. So I'm not gonna be before you long. I had a conflict, so I'm just getting here, so I was just supposed to do the welcome. But I'd be remiss if I just didn't accent some of the things that were already said about the importance of fair housing, about the importance of housing stability, that the work we do in this regard, in our 9 to 5s and our 5 to 9s, are not just about standing up here or not just about a month. People have housing needs all day, every day. The formerly incarcerated have a right to come home and have a second chance and have housing stability to be able to live their life and not go back to the challenges they had. People that are growing in their age, their profession, their life, have an opportunity to be able to find a home in the community that will allow them to be the most successful, prosperable, and grow their families in a healthy environment. The last thing that we should be allowing in this day and age, in the political climate that we exist in, is any opportunity for brown people, black people, young people, old people, those based off of socioeconomic disparities, to be even further marginalized and to be deprived of the human rights and dignity that we all deserve by virtue of the Constitution. Whether it recognized us at first or not, different conversation. So with that, I would be remiss if I did not thank Department of Community Development, specifically Lana, specifically Dulce. You have been such a blessing to this role. I'd like to take credit for finding her, but I didn't. She was already here, and it was already Alyssa's idea to promote her, but she did ask me my opinion. So I had some, so it was all me. I did this. No. So thank you for bringing this event to the community. Thank you for inviting the partners, friends, family that we know and love here so that we can mark this date as a momentous date and the first of many to grow. It already exists, but we're gonna grow it. The fact that we can fit in here is problematic. So next year we'll be across the street, and then in years to follow, we'll be at one of the respective stadiums. So no pressure, she got it. So in that regard, thank you all for coming out, and I yield to Yana.
Thank you, much appreciated. So I am going to do an introduction of the Fair Housing Board members, and as you hear your name, please take a stand and let our constituents, our partners in the community see you. We have Daniel Conway. We have Eugene Miller. Robert Render. Samir Mohammed. And Phyllis White, who is unable to attend today. Okay. Just so you guys can see him. So I'm just gonna do some closing remarks as we kind of wind down so you guys can actually enjoy the fair portion of this event today. I wanna thank Dulce Sanchez, my friend, my mentor. She has been amazing throughout this entire process for hosting the event and including me. Her enthusiasm is infectious. I knew about fair housing, but I didn't know as much as I should have, to be completely honest. And that's where it gets down to that awareness portion of the month. She pulled everything together. She pulled you guys into this event. We cannot say it enough. She did an amazing job. So I want a round of applause, y'all. I grew up in a single family household, so I seen my fair share of slumlords. We know what they're like. And they always seem to have the resources, the connections, and the time that most of our constituents do not. And it's like fighting a giant when you are just this tiny singular person, and in my mom's case, a singular person with 2 kids. And it's very easy to give up and accept the unfairness of it all because you are in a hopeless situation. It's very important to know your rights and know there are resources to help you and that you are not alone. And that is what this month is about. So I am going to welcome Dulce back up so we could do a presentation of a couple of certificates of appreciation. Which will come later.
Thank you so much. A special thank you to the director, Jalisa Hernandez, the assistant director, Anthony Scott, for your support, for believing in me. And I'm not gonna make this too long, but I also want to thank the fund committee from our Department of Community Development for helping me put this together. Without the fund committee, especially Elise Williams, Lana Bollier, and Mia, this will not be possible. It will be possible, but it won't look this nice. I also wanted a special thanks to Mayor Justin Bibb, Council President Blaine Griffin for the resolution, the community stakeholders and members here present today. I also want to thank my mother in this opportunity. She always, she always listens to me and she goes with it. And she got us some donuts, some donation that came out of her pocket. And that's where I come from. That family nucleus, that support, and it's what makes this possible. So thank you, Mommy. Our resources table, our department. I have a family at work. It's amazing. I am full of joy right now, and I can go on for an hour, but I know you're here for the donuts too. So, Cleveland Housing Corp, Fair Housing Center, Community Housing Solutions, Spanish American Committee, the fire department that is joining us today, Third Space Action Lab, and a special thank you to Judge Monet W. Scott for your presence today and your support. Guateriqueña Bakery, gracias. They donated some of the sweets that we'll be enjoying soon. Honey Hut, thank you for your support as well. And Quiz Sweets. Hope I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. We hope everyone had a good time and learned about fair housing, our mission, and I have to say it, ADSCA, my passion, education, outreach. That's what we have to do, and that's what we're here for today. And next year, I'm hoping our sponsors are gonna be a lot more. I'm hoping every financial institution here present today that will be my supporter, and we're gonna have this event not in a bigger place, but we'll have a lot more room to do a better job. In a bigger place, I was told. Yeah. We also hope that today is just the start of many events like this at City Hall for Fair Housing Awareness Month. It is my honor. Thank you. Gracias.